Hundreds of thousands of years ago, beings called the Anunnaki made their way to Earth. It is said that they came here in search of gold. Upon arrival and beginning their labor force, they discovered primitive hominids inhabiting the planet. Seeing an opportunity, they engaged in genetic manipulation, transforming these hominids into a new species designed to serve them. This engineered species would eventually evolve into modern humanity after a series of experiments. As the Anunnaki continued their interactions with humanity, their ambitions grew, from procreating with women to being worshipped as gods. They filled humanity with their stories, and we learned to worship them. They became our mythologies, our gods, our demons, and our protectors at the same time. Understanding the narrative that emerged from the Mesopotamian tablets is understanding our own history. This channel is dedicated exclusively to this theme and everything that surrounds it. The topic is vast and not limited to a single video, a specific point of view, or a particular vision. This subject is a mystery to be unveiled. For this reason, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so that we can delve deeper into this subject together. My purpose here is to start from a scientific perspective based on archaeological findings and studies of Mesopotamian tablets, and from there, consider other points of view. When we consider this perspective, we conclude that we must understand our place in all of this and our role in the universe, allowing us to act more consciously and live our lives to the fullest. From my perspective, there is only one way to dispel the veils that obscure our vision and prevent us from seeing the truth as it stands before us: understanding our past of worship and reverence towards the gods. As I mentioned in other videos, they were revered as gods. And although our modern conception of the word God does not allow us to see it this way, they played an important role in the creation of human beings. They are our fathers and mothers who arrived thousands of years ago on planet Earth. And to truly understand them, it is essential to know who they are. And among all the temples around the world, they all lead us to a single path, to a single land, and to a single group of gods: Sumer and the Anunnaki. In the minds of ancient philosophers and scholars, the cosmos's creation and structure were invariably framed in a human-centric perspective. Societal constructs, as understood in their era, along with all facets of human endeavor, were orchestrated by individuals. Consequently, the cosmic domain was perceived to be under the stewardship of entities resembling humans in form and consciousness, albeit invisible to the average mortal. These celestial overseers were deemed to possess unparalleled strength and efficiency, surpassing any terrestrial human entity, and were considered eternal. The notion of their demise introduced the fear of complete chaos. Invisible, omnipotent, and everlasting, these entities were revered as gods, referred to in Sumerian as Dingir. The complexity of the physical and metaphysical realms was associated with a plethora of such deities. Historical records reveal that by 2500 BCE, the enumeration of Sumerian deities already encompassed hundreds, each distinguished by a unique name and domain of influence. The Sumerians held a belief in celestial gods such as Apsu, Tiamat, Anshar, and Kishar. These gods, it is said, never set foot on Earth. There are clues that those so-called gods are actually celestial bodies in our solar system. There were also terrestrial gods, major gods, and minor deities confined to specific regions and committed to specific tasks. These gods had limited powers and were often responsible for mundane tasks. Bridging these two categories were the ancient gods, who were believed to have descended from the heavens to earth. These were not mere regional gods. They were gods of national and even international significance. They were believed to have been on earth even before humanity, and mankind's existence was attributed to their creative endeavors. These gods exhibited human-like qualities, including a range of emotions. But who exactly were these ancient deities? At the pinnacle of the divine hierarchy were the sovereign entities governing the universe's primary domains. An, later known as Anu, the deity of the heavens. Enlil, master of the air. Enki, later known as Ea, lord of water. And Ninhursag or Ninmah, the revered Earth Mother goddess. In this video, we are going to concentrate our efforts on understanding who these four specific gods are. In future videos, we are going deeper into others. This video is the first in a playlist dedicated specifically to understanding who is who in the Mesopotamian pantheon, and more specifically, among the Anunnaki. Anu, recognized in Akkadian tradition as An, holds a distinguished place among the oldest and most authoritative figures in Mesopotamian mythology. Initially revered as the supreme god of the Babylonian pantheon, Anu's role encompassed the delegation of power among other gods, enforcing decisions and establishing kingship on earth. As the embodiment of ultimate authority, Anu had the power to elevate other deities, a theme prevalent in ancient literature, such as Inanna's assertion that Anu made her fearsome across the heavens. Over time, his authority became shared with rising deities like Enlil and Marduk, though Anu maintained a distinct status, symbolized by the transfer of Anu power, signifying ultimate divine command. Anu's influence extended to cosmic creation, often credited with shaping the universe, sometimes alongside Enlil and Ea. His domain was believed to be the highest level of the heavens, represented by a star, a universal emblem of divinity consistent across script evolutions. Additionally, the Maltese cross and the horned crown were symbols of Anu's authority. Iconographically, Anu's symbol, a horned crown, is sometimes depicted resting on a throne. However, there are no certain anthropomorphic representations of Anu, with his influence expressed more through royal symbolism and divine insignias such as the tiara, scepter, and staff, which evolved but remained recognized in later periods. Anu's heavenly residence was depicted as a majestic palace where deities gathered for council or major decisions. Later texts present Anu as the son of Anshar and Kishar, aligning with the cosmological framework of the Enuma Elish. His consorts varied, starting with Urash in early Sumerian accounts, later shifting to Ki, the personification of earth, and eventually Antu in Akkadian mythology. As the father of the gods, Anu was considered the progenitor of many deities, including major gods like Enlil, Enki, and Adad, or Ishkur, as well as goddesses like Inanna, also known as Ishtar. His celestial residence not only served as a divine gathering place, but also as a backdrop for mythical events like Oedipus' journey, highlighting the complex dynamics between divine and mortal realms. Oedipus' myth illustrates these dynamics well. A mortal priest, Oedipa ascended to Anu's celestial abode but declined the bread and water of immortality, suspecting deception due to Enki's warning. This decision left Oedipa mortal, showcasing the complexities of divine-human interactions and the mortal misunderstandings of divine intentions. Anu's worship was widespread, with major temples dedicated to him, such as the Eanna Temple in Uruk, often shared with Inanna Ishtar. Known as Eanna, which means the House of An, This temple underwent multiple construction phases, reflecting its sustained importance. Rituals honoring Anu and Antu during their celestial visits were elaborate, involving sacred offerings and meticulous rituals to mark their presence. Anu's cult persisted well into the Seleucid period, especially in Uruk, underscoring his enduring significance. A damaged tablet from Uruk provides insights into ceremonies where Anu and Antu descended to the exalted court of Uruk. During these events, priests prepared offerings, and fires were lit throughout the city, symbolizing divine illumination and unity between the celestial and mortal realms. The departure of Anu and Antu was marked by the opening of the temple gate 40 minutes after sunrise on the 17th day, symbolizing the end of their stay. Farewell hymns and blessings emphasized Anu's role as the supreme link between the divine and earthly realms. Historically, Anu is mentioned in early texts, though identifying his specific presence is challenging due to the ambiguous nature of the cuneiform sign An. The Sumerian term and translates to heaven or sky, representing An as the personified heavens. Interestingly, while the cuneiform sign An also has the value Dingir, meaning God from the Akkadian Ilu, An's name in Sumerian is never written with this divine determinative. In Akkadian, he is known as Anu. The logogram as the number 60 was also used as a learned symbol for Anu. By the mid-3rd millennium BCE, Anu's name appeared clearly in god lists, royal inscriptions, and myths, with kings like Lugalza-Gazi and Sargon first referring to themselves as servants of Anu, reflecting his deep-rooted association with kingship. In literature, Anu often emerges as the sovereign of the heavens, receiving the primeval division of the universe in myths like Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the Netherworld. His retreat before Tiamat in the Enuma Elish marked a shift in divine hierarchy, paving the way for Marduk's ascendancy in Babylonian tradition. Even door hinges were oiled as part of rituals to ensure divine rest during Anu's stay, highlighting the meticulous rituals that embodied Anu's divine authority. Enlil, one of the supreme deities in Mesopotamian religion, was central to the pantheon, wielding immense power over fate, kingship, and the divine order. He was Anu's eldest son, often described as the Lord of the Airspace, with authority that extended over both celestial and earthly realms. His commands were far-reaching and unalterable, influencing the course of both the divine and human affairs. Enlil was born in Anu's celestial residence, but later descended to Earth, becoming the principal god of both realms. When divine assemblies were held, Enlil presided alongside his father, demonstrating his role as the ultimate authority. His word was considered lofty and holy, and other gods bowed to him, reflecting the sacredness and permanence of his pronouncements. The primary sanctuary dedicated to Enlil, known as the Kur, or Mountain House, was located in Nippur, the religious heart of southern Mesopotamia, until the 2nd millennium BCE. Nippur, described as the city of earth, symbolized Enlil's connection to both the divine and earthly realms, with the Duranki, or bond of heaven and earth, established there. This bond represented the cosmic connection that Enlil maintained, linking all directions of existence under his command. It is also described as the center of the 4 corners of the world, emphasizing its pivotal role in maintaining the cosmic order. The temple's ziggurat symbolized the connection between heaven and earth, with waters regarded as sweet and life-giving, reflecting the purity of this sacred location. Enlil's genealogy as the firstborn of An positioned him at the top of the divine hierarchy. He was the father of the gods and Lord of all lands, holding supreme authority over earthly realms and divine governance. His consort was Ninlil, formerly known as Sud, whom he married under controversial circumstances. Despite this rocky start, Ninlil, later known as the revered Nin.Lil-Kama, remained an important figure, and Enlil was largely faithful to her. Among their children were prominent deities such as Ninurta, Nana, also known as Sin, and Nergal, with other gods like Inanna, also known as Ishtar, Utu, also known as Shamash, Adad, also known as Ishkur, and Namtar, also linked to Enlil's lineage. It is important to note that some Anunnaki, like Inanna, Nergal, and Ishkur, appear in different tablets as descendants of different gods. Nergal at times is portrayed as the son of Enki, while in other instances he is described as the son of Enlil. Similarly, Inanna and Ishkur seem to be both children of Anu and of Enlil. A deep study of the texts reveals these variations. However, to piece together the great puzzle that encompasses mythology and human history, various scholars choose to overlook certain texts or references, aiming for a more concise interpretation of specific events. In ancient hymns, Enlil is praised as the deity who possesses deep knowledge of the fate of the land and Sumer, described as the shepherd of the black-headed ones, referring to his guidance over the Sumerians. He is called the Lord of the Rightful Command, emphasizing his role as the upholder of cosmic balance and divine law. His influence stretched from the mountain of sunrise to the mountain of sunset, making him the singular ruler of all lands. The inscription underscores that no other lord existed within these realms. Enlil alone reigned supreme from east to west. Enlil's decisions were often regarded as immutable. However, there are narratives where he reconsidered his actions, such as in the Atrahasis myth, where he initially decreed a flood to annihilate humanity, but later revised this decision. His power was not limited to punishment. He was also credited with beneficial contributions, such as introducing agriculture and tools like the plow and pickaxe to humanity. Enlil's responsibilities included appointing kings, who were not independent rulers, but divine stewards, acting according to celestial laws. Kings like Hammurabi recognized Enlil's authority, starting their reigns by acknowledging his divine summons. Enlil's authority was also evident in Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian monarchs' inscriptions, which attributed their legitimacy and victories to Enlil's favor. Enlil's portrayal in texts and inscriptions also emphasizes his duality. While he could be a bringer of prosperity and the Lord of abundance, he could also unleash devastation. During the Great Flood, he was a key advocate for humanity's destruction, utilizing his wind to release catastrophic storms upon rebellious cities. Nonetheless, when at peace, he was a benevolent deity, bestowing vital knowledge and maintaining the divine order. The Akkadian period further solidified Enlil's status, representing him with the number 50, underscoring his supreme rank. His iconography typically features a horned helmet, signifying divine authority, while his name evolved over time to reflect cultural and linguistic changes. Despite the rise of Babylon and Marduk's ascendancy in the 2nd millennium BCE, Enlil remained a central figure. This transition is notably depicted in the Enuma Elish, where Marduk's defeat of Tiamat marked Babylonian supremacy, yet Enlil continued to be honored and remembered. Enlil's character also included human-like vulnerabilities. He was bound by divine laws and could be exiled for violating these codes. For example, when his actions were considered unjust, he faced exile as punishment, showing that even the highest gods were accountable within the divine assembly. He was also subject to mortal grievances, as evidenced by a Sumerian king's complaint to the divine assembly that the misfortunes of his kingdom were due to Enlil's choice of a worthless leader. Even in later periods, Enlil's influence remained potent. His decrees were considered irrevocable, shaping destinies across generations. The gods continued to show submission to his supreme authority, emphasizing his pivotal role in the cosmic and earthly realms. As the shepherd of the black-headed ones, Enlil's presence stretched from the sunrise to the sunset, symbolizing his far-reaching power and enduring legacy as a central figure in Mesopotamian religious tradition. His cult persisted in Nippur, Babylon, and beyond, with rituals and hymns continually expressing awe and reverence for his authority. Enki, known as Ea in Akkadian, is one of the major gods of the Mesopotamian pantheon, associated with wisdom, magic, and incantations. As the son of Anu, he is often called both Ea and Enki, symbolizing his dual presence in the celestial and terrestrial realms. Upon descending to Earth, he became the Prince of Earth and the Master of the Salt Waters, ruling over seas, oceans, and the Apsu, the deep freshwater reservoir beneath the earth. This sacred domain represented the source of all life and fertility, highlighting Enki's role as a life-giver and sustainer of the land. An ancient Mesopotamian text describes a pivotal moment among the gods, where they joined hands in unity, cast lots, and divided the realms of the cosmos. Anu, the supreme god, took command of the heavens. Enlil was given dominion over the earth, and Enki received the seas, symbolizing the deep mysteries of the earthly domain. Despite being granted control over the waters, Enki felt resentment over losing dominion of the earth to Enlil. Enki claimed to be the true firstborn of Anu, asserting his rightful claim as Anu's heir apparent. This rivalry with Enlil is a central theme in Mesopotamian mythology, often driven by Enki's frustration over the distribution of power. Enki's arrival on Earth coincided with a time when the Persian Gulf's waters extended further inland, creating swamps that became his natural habitat. As a master engineer, Enki designed and built canals, river embankments, and drainage systems, transforming the marshlands into fertile areas. He founded Eridu, also called Haki, or the place of water fishes, at the edge of these marshlands. His grand residence, the Abzu, also known as Engur-Ra or Unir, represented the Abzu's life-giving waters. Enki was depicted as sailing through the marshlands, emphasizing his close ties to aquatic realms and the maritime environment. Enki was central to the creation and protection of humanity. In the Atrahasis myth, he crafted humans from clay to serve the gods, reducing the divine burden of labor. When Enlil decided to flood the earth due to humanity's noise, Enki intervened by warning Atrahasis, enabling the survival of humankind through the building of an ark. This myth exemplifies Enki's cunning and protective nature, as he frequently found ways to circumvent harsh divine decrees. His advocacy for humanity often put him at odds with Enlil, further highlighting their rivalry. Enki's importance in the pantheon extends to his role as the god of wisdom, rituals, and purification. As the patron deity of diviners and exorcist priests, Enki's influence is seen in ritual practices, exorcisms, and incantations. His knowledge of water's purifying nature made him the ultimate source of ritual expertise, invoked in spells to repel evil and cleanse kings after ominous events. Enki's contribution to civilization includes the introduction of agriculture, brickmaking, and canal construction. In the myth Adapa and the South Wind, Enki prevents Adapa from achieving immortality, preserving the balance between gods and mortals while maintaining humanity's magical knowledge. Enki also created the 7 Apkallu, or sages, who imparted wisdom to humanity and served as intermediaries between the divine and the mortal worlds. These beings represent Enki's commitment to the growth of civilization and the imparting of knowledge. An ancient declaration attributed to a prominent deity, likely Marduk, reinforces the divine lineage of Enki's descendants. In this passage, the speaker identifies himself as the fecund seed, born of the great wild bull, a potent source of creation and power. The speaker also claims to be the firstborn son of Anu, underscoring his legitimacy and central role in the pantheon. He refers to himself as the great brother of the gods, emphasizing his status and leadership among the deities. This portrayal reinforces the idea of Enki's cosmic origins and divine authority, positioning him as a figure of reverence among gods and mortals. Enki's genealogy is complex. He is either the son of An, the sky god, or the primordial goddess Namu, who represents the cosmic waters. His consort, Damgalnuna, also known as Damkina, bore deities such as Marduk, Asarluhi, and Nansha, as well as the sage Adapa. Enki's fertility and creative potential are evident in myths like Enki and Ninhursag, where his pursuit of Ninhursag leads to the birth of several deities, merging themes of life-giving energy and mischievous behavior. Enki's visual depictions often portray him as a bearded figure wearing a horned cap, surrounded by flowing water teeming with fish, symbolizing the Abzu's abundance. He is also associated with the moon's crescent, due to the moon's influence on tides, and is known by titles such as Ningiku, which means the Lord Bright-Eye. His other symbolic items include the curved scepter, goatfish, and turtle. In the myth Ninurta and the Turtle, Enki uses a turtle to capture Ninurta, ultimately recovering the Tablet of Destinies, a powerful artifact that controls humanity's fate. Enki's many names, including Denki, Damanki, Nudamud, reflect his versatile nature. He is associated with the number 40, indicating his prominence among Mesopotamian deities. His epithets like Stag of the Abzu and Little Enlil emphasize his roles as a deity of wisdom, transformation, and protection. Enki's influence persisted across millennia, with his impact seen in texts from the early dynastic period to the writings of Berossus in the 3rd century BCE, where he was equated with the Greek god Kronos. Even as the Mesopotamian pantheon evolved, Enki's status as a benefactor of humanity and a protector of civilization remained central. His mythological roles and ritual functions highlight his enduring importance as a god who balanced creative power, wisdom, and compassion. While Enki seemed to acknowledge Enlil's right to rule, there are indications of ongoing tension between them. Enki's defiance of Enlil's commands is evident in ancient texts and even biblical stories like the Garden of Eden and the Flood. Enki eventually focused on ensuring that his own offspring, rather than Enlil's, would inherit divine authority. He sought to accomplish this with the help of his sister Ninhursag. She was also a daughter of Anu, but not by Antu, adding another layer to the complex rules of divine succession. This divine drama has parallels in human affairs, as evidenced by the Sumerian texts that describe the creation of humanity by Ninhursag, using methods developed by Enki. Ninhursag was the chief medical officer among the gods, known as Ninti, which means both Lady of Life and Lady of the Rib, echoing the biblical story of Eve. An ancient Mesopotamian myth recounts the creation process led by Ninmah and Enki, showcasing the complex and often imperfect nature of early human life. According to the text, Ninmah begins by taking clay from the Abzu, the subterranean freshwater realm, and shaping it into human forms with distinct impairments. Each creation receives a unique fate decreed by Enki, reflecting the god's intentions and the variety of human conditions. First, Ninmah crafts a man with weak, outstretched hands that cannot bend. Enki observes this man and assigns him the role of a servant to the king, indicating the necessity of every being, despite physical limitations. Next, Ninmah shapes a man who turns back the light and has perpetually open eyes. Enki interprets this creation as a musician, granting him the position of a chief in the king's court, symbolizing the association of sensory awareness with artistic gifts. The third creation is one with broken feet, unable to walk. Enki decides this individual's role would be related to metalwork, particularly silversmithing. Another version of the text presents the third creation as an idiot who is also appointed to serve the king, emphasizing utility even in cognitive limitations. Ninmah then fashions a fourth being unable to control urination. Enki responds by bathing this person in enchanted water, driving out a demon, the Namtar, showcasing an early form of healing and purification. The fifth creation is a woman unable to give birth. Enki designates her to serve in the queen's household, or as a weaver according to another manuscript, highlighting adaptability in divine decisions regarding human destinies. Sixth, Ninmah creates an individual without genitalia, whom Enki names the Nibru eunuch, appointing this being to serve before the king, indicating a specific societal role beyond reproductive functions. At this point, Ninmah becomes frustrated, throwing the clay to the ground in silence. In response, Enki proposes a challenge. He will create a new being, and Ninmah must decide its fate. Enki molds a figure with distorted features, its head, eyes, neck, lungs, and other body parts afflicted. This creation, called Umul, is severely impaired, unable to feed itself or move properly, symbolizing the vulnerability of life and the god's experimental approach to creation. The Mesopotamian mother goddess, often referred to as Nintud or Nintur, Ninmah, Belet Ili, or Mami, embodies the principles of creation, fertility, and childbirth. As a central figure in early Mesopotamian religion, she was venerated for her vital role in guiding pregnancies, ensuring safe births, and nurturing life itself. Her domain extended beyond childbirth to include the creation of humankind, establishing her as one of the most influential deities in the ancient pantheon. The label Mother Goddess, while commonly used, is more of a convenient term rather than a precise title, as many goddesses could assume maternal roles within the broader Mesopotamian divine hierarchy. During the 3rd and 2nd millennia BCE, the mother goddess held a prominent status among the gods, appearing alongside deities such as An, Enlil, and Enki in texts like the Lamentation over the destruction of Sumer and Ur, and the Lament over Nibru. Over time, however, her influence waned, with goddesses like Gula, associated with healing, and Ishtar, linked to love and war, taking precedence. Nevertheless, her core functions remained tied to childbirth, encompassing both the guidance of unborn children and their sustenance after birth. The mother goddess is recognized as a creator deity, especially in the Atrahasis myth, where she forms humanity by mixing clay with the blood of a slain god. This process mirrors a tale from the Enki and Ninmah myth, where she competes with Enki in the creation of various beings, ultimately resulting in humans crafted from the clay of the Abzu, the cosmic waters beneath the earth. Legends associated with Mami further detail her creative role. She shapes 14 pieces of primordial clay into womb deities, producing the first 7 pairs of human embryos. Additionally, Under Enki's suggestion, the gods sacrificed one of their own, using its blood and flesh mixed with clay to create humankind. Despite the central role she played in creation, the mother goddess's functions were gradually absorbed by male deities, such as Enki in the Enuma Elish, marking a shift in divine authority often described as the marginalization of goddesses in later literature. The mother goddess, also known as Ninhursag, gradually diminished her influence, and the worship of deities was gradually disappearing. When the god of monotheism arrives in the history of theology, he assumes the roles of both Enki and Ninmah, the mother goddess. In this regard, he became the sole god of creation. The divine genealogy of the mother goddess remains complex and ambiguous. She is occasionally linked as a consort to gods like An, Enlil, Enki, or Shulpe, with numerous offspring that emphasize her prolific role as a creator. Early god lists, such as the An-Anum, record various names and epithets associated with her, underscoring her extensive influence across the pantheon. Her primary cult center was the city of Kish, an important yet-to-be-located site sacred to her worship. Kish is believed to be part of Urusagrig, near Adab, and maintained religious significance even into the Neo-Babylonian period, as evidenced by inscriptions from King Nabonidus. Other cities that housed temples dedicated to the mother goddess include Adab, Assur, Babylon, Lagash, Larsa, Mari, Nippur, Sippar Aruru, Susa, Umma, and Ur, indicating her widespread veneration across Mesopotamia. The worship of the mother goddess traces back to the early dynastic period, continuing into the first millennium BCE. However, as male deities gained greater prominence, her influence diminished during the latter part of the second millennium BCE. Her iconography is distinguished by the one symbol that is believed to represent the uterus. This symbol is occasionally paired with a knife, symbolizing the cutting of the umbilical cord after birth. The mother goddess is known by several names, each with distinct meanings. Ninmah translates to magnificent queen, while Nintud or Nintur, meaning queen of the birthing hut, emphasizes her association with childbirth. The term Tur relates to the Sumerian word for uterus, reinforcing her connection to life's creation. Her Akkadian name, Belet Ili, means Queen of the Gods, signifying her esteemed position among the divine. Written representations of her name exhibit various spellings depending on the language and context. Ninmah appears as Di-Ninmah, while Nintud or Nintur is rendered as Di-Nintur, Di-Nintura, among other forms, and Belet Ili as Di-Bilet Dingermesh. Despite these linguistic variations, the mother goddess consistently symbolizes the essence of creation, nurturing, and maternal care throughout Mesopotamian tradition. I remember the time when I was reading The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin for the first time. It was more than 10 years ago. When I read about the mother goddess Mami back then, I was very skeptical of his claims. It seemed unbelievable to me that such a goddess existed in ancient times, revered with those epithets. However, after some time researching, I realized that, yes, he was right. Her name appears in many different myths and stories from ancient Mesopotamia, where she was revered as the mother who bestowed the gift of life. These stories indeed suggest scenarios of genetic manipulation. I believe that this video, as the first in the series about who is who among the Anunnaki, is extremely important. Here, we have explored who is the greatest of all gods, the commander and father who gave rise to the other Anunnaki, Anu, whose name means heaven. Additionally, we have learned about his main children, Enki, Enlil, and Ninmah. Enlil, the Lord of Command, is crucial for understanding the events on Earth. Enki and Ninmah are the father and mother of humanity. Ninmah, the mother goddess, can be considered the first goddess who offers us the concept of Mother Earth. Later interpretations by the Greeks might have transformed her concept into Gaia, the Mother Earth. In the end, it is important to understand that even though we know these gods by certain names, those are not their true names. They are epithets, not exact names. It is essential to understand from the perspectives explored here that the Anunnaki, in one conception, can be interpreted as entities that masked themselves as gods. However, from an even deeper perspective, we must pay reverence and gratitude to the beings who manipulated the chemical structures of this planet to grant us the gift of life. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment, hit the like button, and choose your next video to continue your quest for knowledge. See you in the next video.